These passages on your screen now is why I am not a Muslim, and I'm pretty sure there's a logical error here, which, if I'm right about, could mean that Islam is false. But I do quickly just want to say this is not a gotcha video, you know, it's an open question. I could be wrong about this, I've just not found any answers so far. So I'm just putting it out here on the internet, maybe somebody can help me answer this question. Let's establish some quick facts about these verses here. Fact 1. The Qur'an asks for a similar text to be produced. Fact 2. There is no complete, closed, clear criteria provided in the Qur'an. It may comment on itself and its own qualities, but these are neither A, an exclusive closed criteria list, or B, explicitly presented as criteria for the challenge. Fact 3. It states that failure to produce a similar work proves that the author of the Qur'an is Allah, aka God. So the first two facts there give us the logical trap, and the third fact proves that it cannot be from God, if of course I'm correct about the logical trap. So let's take a look at that logical trap. Any text that is presented will fit into one of two categories. It will either be the same or it will be different, right? Any text that is the same as the Qur'an will be obviously rejected because this is not similar, this is the same. Any text that is different to the Qur'an will also be rejected, and the reasoning can be brought out from any difference between the Qur'an and the presented text that the reader can find. Of course, you're going to be able to find differences because it's a different text. Similar or like it, yani mithli, sits impossibly in between these two realities, meaning that no text will be accepted. But this isn't due to a divine quality of the Qur'an, this is a logical error. Now, a quick search online is going to show you like tafsir or even just blog posts where they're creating their own list of criteria, articles that just rehash the standard Islamic narrative of events. I want to address these because sometimes when you read them, it sounds like it solves the problem, but really it doesn't. The criteria given by bloggers or by scholars often contain subjective measurements, restating stories of Muhammad's life, on one or two actual pieces of criteria. Of course, if you are going to meet the criteria that these articles and these tafsir outline, you're just going to find another difference between the text that you present and the Qur'an, and you're going to use this difference instead to say why they are not similar. It's fact 2 that allows for you to do this. The stories of Muhammad's contemporaries not being able to beat the challenge also isn't solving the issue. Firstly, these narratives are written by Muslims hundreds of years later, so it is possible that their opponents and contemporaries of Muhammad spotted why this doesn't make sense, but the Muslims just never wrote it down. But even if they didn't realize what the problem was, it doesn't mean that the logical problem doesn't exist, right? Now, many of you probably understand this already, but when I'm explaining this to my Muslim friends, they have a really difficult time understanding what the problem is, and I want to be really thorough in this video and make sure everyone understands what I'm talking about. So I'm going to introduce 2 thought experiments. If you don't understand the issue already, these should help. If you do understand it, then you can use these to help explain it to people who are having a hard time. These just reframe the logic of the challenge in different contexts, and hopefully it's going to allow you to assess this unbiased and clearly. Thought experiment 1. The telephone game. Works with 2 or more people. Bring, 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 bring.
Yellow?
Oh wow. Alright, yeah. I'll let the viewers know, yeah. So, I've just been on the phone with a messenger from God, and I have his very word. He said, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. I mean, do you believe me? Probably not, no, but what if I could prove it to you? All you have to do to disprove that this is from God is to produce a similar sentence. So that is the game. Can you make a sentence similar to this? Player 1 tries to come up with similar sentences, and player 2 just finds a difference and uses that as a reason to reject similarity. Can player 1 ever win? Well, I don't have a second person with me right now, but the most common answer I get when I do this is the lazy dog is jumped over by the quick brown fox. But of course that's not similar, because mine is in the active voice and yours is in the passive voice. The active voice is superior, it's more direct, it's more clear, it's more formal. And we could just keep going. I mean, if you think you can produce a similar sentence to "the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," leave it in a comment below and I'll see if it can beat the challenge. But I'm pretty sure this is unbeatable. The whole point of this thought experiment: if this is not proof that the phone call you just witnessed was from God, how can it be used as proof that the Qur'an is from God? Either you can beat my challenge, or this is not a valid method of proof. Thought experiment 2. Seeing similar psalms. Okay, so most modern Muslims believe that Allah, beside the Qur'an, revealed other scriptures. These scriptures are called the Torah, the Zabur, and the Injil. These are partially preserved in the Jewish Christian Bible, of course having been corrupted and edited over time by human hands. But what if we could get back to the original scripture Allah revealed? All we have to do is take the modern versions and attempt to create a similar chapter to each chapter that we read today. Whatever we can make something similar to is man-made, and whatever we can't comes from God. So, where should we start? The 4 Gospels are more just stories about Jesus' life rather than things that Jesus said. The Injil is typically an oral revelation, that's how most Muslims understand it. Whilst books that do take only the words of Jesus exist, the Gospels were written in Greek anyway, and this wasn't the language of Jesus, so there's always going to be a human filter over these words. I think we can discount this. The Torah, although in the original Hebrew, has much the same problem, whereas written as a story rather than as a straight divine revelation, it weaves in divine revelation with stories, narratives, and biographies. So again, I think we can discount this. The Psalms, however, are similar to the Qur'an. They have poetic style, they're preserved in the original language, and they're traditionally believed to come straight from David, not another biographer. So, let's take each Davidic psalm and try to create something similar. Are they similar? Is this psalm part of the original Zabur revealed to David from God? If this is not an effective measure to see whether Allah revealed this psalm or not, then neither can it be an effective measure of whether Allah revealed the Qur'an or not. So what if there is no logical answer to the challenge? That the Qur'an is just obviously, ineffably superior to any other speech. If we can't point to any list of reasons why the Qur'an is superior, because of course this would fall into the logical error I previously outlined, maybe it's just outside of logic. Maybe if you just listen to the Qur'an you will know that this is from God. Well, we can test this. If we play 5 audio clips, some Qur'an, some not Qur'an, and people try to identify which ones are and which ones aren't. If the Qur'an is more eloquent and beautiful and perfect than anything a human could come up with, then everyone should be able to identify which ones are the false surahs, right? Well, I have done a rudimentary version of this test. I found some audio clips online. I've even re-uploaded them here so you can see them yourselves. Ideally, when you're doing this, you should have the same reciter to eliminate any other factors. I did run into some problems there, and you can probably hear why when you listen to these audio clips. And you should split the groups of people, just like I did on the screen, to eliminate any other factors involved, get more clear results. I mean, my results, as you can see on the screen, yielded the answer as no. The Qur'an is not clearly more beautiful or better or more impactful than any other human speech, because people are not able to tell the difference between the Qur'an and human speech. So what? Well, most of you can probably understand why this is problematic. But the number 1 rule of interpreting the Qur'an is that the Qur'an can interpret itself. The Qur'an states that if it were not true, we should be able to find contradictions in there. So let's refer back to fact 3. The Qur'an states that this challenge should serve as proof that Allah is the author. If the challenge doesn't prove anything, then this is a contradiction of logic. It sets up a premise that it doesn't fulfill. Therefore, by the Qur'an's own standard, it must be false. So that's it. That's what the logical error is. I mean, am I missing something here? Have I misinterpreted something? Are my thought experiments wrong? If you can figure any of this out, if you have any answers, please, it would be great if you let me know in the comments below. This is just a question I have. I'm not trying to offend you or make you change your life or anything like that. It's just something that has been on my mind. So thanks for watching.